Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment in the Sydney Railroad build. If you're watching last week, you will have seen me add some miscellaneous finishing touches to the railroad. This week it's time to get it dismantled prior to packing it up into a shipping container. So without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and get busy. This morning is Tuesday, November 25th, I think. And the plan for the day is to start dismantling the railroad for packing it up to be delivered. I'm just going to walk all the way around with the camera running. I have a helper expected to arrive in a few minutes. Although I have built everything by myself without any help whatsoever, everything is a lot heavier now and also more fragile. Just walked into the wall there. So I do need some help to dismantle it. It has to be stacked into 3 separate piles for delivery to the customer's home in 3 trips, because there won't be enough room to work if I have everything delivered in one go. Anyway, that is a whole lap of the railroad. I'm not expecting my helper for a few more minutes. I told him to get here about 8:30 and it's only about 8:20 something now. So I'm going to start disconnecting wires until he gets here. Well, on the first morning we only got 4 sections out, so it may look as though we haven't done a whole lot, but we have done a lot of the de-wiring for the control panels. De-wiring, is that a word? I don't know, but I'm going to use it anyway. A lot of the wires along here, the ones that run the whole length without being tapped into, are not separated at each section joint. We've just got to unthread the whole length of them. I figure it's a lot easier doing it that way than to have to find space for hundreds of more terminals. I'm going to continue now. I'm going to get some more control panels out of there. The next section that's going to come out is this big one in the corner, and that is actually the largest one on the whole railroad. And that is mostly detached now. So let's wrestle that out, get it out of the way. And then this corner can come out on the bottom level, and that will give us some more floor space to work with. Well, that is about all we've got time for today. I think we made fairly good progress. We've got the whole of the end dismantled, except for this one corner, and the first 3 sections down the top level on the staging yard. Here it is over here. I've been protecting all the rail ends as I go, one board at a time, numbering everything also one board at a time. All the 100 series numbers will be in the first delivery, 200 series in the second delivery, and 300 series numbers in the final delivery at the other end. I'm going to go in now. I've got a whole lot of inside work to do this evening, layout designs and stuff like that. And I will be back out again tomorrow to continue. We started off day 2 by taking down this corner. That has now given us a lot more floor area to work with. And I think the next step, we're just going to work our way down this side with the staging yards, all 3 levels together, till we get all the way to the other end. And then we'll have a lot more open space. Well, this morning we got rid of, I think, 6 sections, 3 on each level, 2 on each level. It's 3 levels of bench work. We just come back out after lunch and we're continuing to work our way down this side. Ran into slight difficulty with getting the wires out for this control panel, so we ended up mounting it upside down, and it will travel with the bench work instead of as a separate piece, because one of the holes was a little bit tight to thread all the wires through with all the zip ties on them. If I'd realized that a little bit earlier, I could have avoided unplugging all the RC cables. That would have saved some time. I don't think I'm going to do that with the other control panels because those are on heavier boards. This is a much shorter and therefore lighter frame, so the extra weight doesn't really matter. Well, this is the end of day 2 of the dismantling process. A lot of sections stacked up at this end, and we've got almost to the end of the staging yard side. My helper had to leave a little bit early today to take care of his family. He helped to get me set up with a lot more of the solo work that I could do, and I stayed out here for an extra hour, got that done. I'm going to go in now. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and I have an invitation to go out for the day, so I'm not going to be working tomorrow, but I will continue Friday morning. Well, it is Thursday morning, and I know I said I wasn't going to work Thanksgiving, but I decided it's a good opportunity to get the bridges packed up while my helper is not here, because I can do that by myself. I'm not going to be distracted by what he's doing. First step in getting this triple span bridge ready for packing is to put a strip of plywood through the middle and tape the lower spans to it. I've taken the precaution of wrapping strips of paper around so the tape's actually not stuck to the plastic. That way there's no risk of it pulling the paint off. That bridge is now ready to go, and once that's out of the way I can reach the trestle behind it, and I have a stand for that. Well, here is the trestle with the same treatment. Have another strip of plywood taped to the top of it with the paper strips so the tape doesn't stick to the bridge. I think I'm probably going to glue the stand to the bottom of the crate so that it doesn't move in transit, because if it gets tipped on its side, that stand is heavy enough to move in the foam chips and do some damage. Well, I didn't glue the stand into the crate. Instead I screwed it to the bottom and put in spacer blocks on the side, so it's screwed in 4 places. I've also added some little pegs that I can loosely zip tie the bridge to it so that it doesn't risk sliding off the side of the stand, and that will be nice and secure. I'm going to put the other bridge in beside it, and then there's a smaller trestle to go on top of that, and the whole crate is going to be filled with packing peanuts. Well, that is the 3 big bridges in the crate. This small trestle's upside down. Fits better that way. I've put some empty cardboard boxes in this end just to fill up volume, because I don't have quite enough packing peanuts to fill the crate otherwise. Well, there it is, completely filled. The 7 cubic foot bag turned out to be exactly right. I've also put the empty bag in the top of the crate. That way when I unpack it, I've got somewhere to put the foam chips so they don't get all over the floor. I'm just going to seal it up now and mark it, and then that will be packed and ready to go. Well, that is the 3 large bridges safely packed up. If I thought about it a little bit earlier, there's probably room to get these 2 small ones in there as well, but I never intended doing it that way. My plan was always to put those in a smaller cardboard box. Anyway, that was all I really planned on doing out here this morning. I'm going to go inside now and build a batch of turnouts. That will probably take me up to the time I need to go out. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Well, this morning we have started by removing the DCC control camera and the benchwork above it, and the next section that led to it. There was a lot of wires through there. This piece is designed to be hung off the one in the corner, so really I have to start disassembly from this end, which means we need to go down the far end, start dismantling the far side, and we might have to do the peninsula as well before we can get in there. I'm not sure, but I think the workbench corner might need to be the last one that we disassemble. But let's start by taking down the long side wall and see where that leads us. We have now got this side entirely disassembled. Also done some sweeping up down here, and once this last piece is stacked up down in the other corner of the room, down the other end, we've got this whole area available for stacking the peninsula pieces, which will be the first section to go in the container. That'll be the next job. because we have to get the whole of the peninsula disassembled before I can undo the workbench area. Well, as has so often been the case on this project, as soon as I've told you what I plan to do, I've had a change of plan. Instead of jumping straight into dismantling the peninsula, I decided to get rid of all the stuff that was stacked over here, because the peninsula is all section 3, which is going to have to go in the container first. So I've now got this area clear to stack up all the 300 series pieces, which will be the first phase loaded into the container. I've got all the 200s here and the 100s at the far end. There's a few pieces I ran out of space for down here, and I just moved those to temporary locations. But now I can start dismantling the peninsula and put everything where it's going to stay until the container arrives. Well, dismantling has continued for much of the afternoon. We had a little bit of trouble with these last 2 sections under the paper mill. There was a couple of hidden screws that we didn't find to start with and provided all sorts of problems for us. But they're out now, all packed up. Going to move across to the other side and take out the next 2 yard sections over the other side of the Helix, and then continue from there. This morning we started by getting rid of one more section of the yard on the upper level, and then we started tackling the end of the lower peninsula. The 2 scenic sections are now packed up, ready for shipping. I had to put a lot of temporary wood in there to get it to sit up high enough to be able to get our fingers underneath it and still carry it in the optimum orientation. So those are now done. They were nowhere near as heavy as I thought they might be. I guess that's all relative, because we have been dealing with some problem pieces. We're just going to continue dismantling the end of the peninsula, and hopefully we'll make good progress today. Well, we now have the Helix taken down, and that turned out to be quite a problem because I goofed up when I assembled it. I got into an impossible situation where part A had to go in before part B before part C, and part C before part A. So it was a little bit awkward to find a way of getting it off, but I think I know how I'm going to put it back together again. It's not something I have to do lots of times. We've got quite a big stack of parts here. Here is all the peninsula section so far. And we've also got quite a big pile of small parts. There's also a few of the benchwork sections in that pile because we didn't have room to stack them in the corner in the right order. So we'll put those in later when I sort that out. But the rest of this afternoon, we have to continue dismantling the railroad, see how far we can get. Well, that is a few more sections disassembled. These went a lot more easily. Once we found the screw that we missed in that top piece, it came off without trouble. And the bit that goes alongside the wall, where the open gap is behind the creeper, that came apart into 3 pieces, no trouble at all. Because this one with the deep canyon would have been too wide to go down the stairs, so all the stuff on the back had to come off. I just undid all the screws and just tapped it out with the hammer. It was a perfect no tolerance fit, but it didn't jam. So that was exactly the way it was intended. I just wish everything could go that easily sometimes. Anyway, that is all we've got time for today. Going to continue tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow we can get most of this disassembled. So I'll see you then. Well, we just have this one U-shaped piece left to go. It's Thursday morning. I'm hoping that we can finish it today. Not quite sure how all of this comes apart. I know we've got to start from the right-hand side in this corner and work our way into this corner. So once we can get everything disassembled, I can work on the Tetris, figure out exactly how it's going to fit in the container. So a lot to get on with today. I'm just going to turn the camera off and get to work, and I'll talk to you again periodically. Well, this is how far we got this morning. Got the top level finished. One more from each of the lower levels in this corner. We've got the top level finished over this side. Got one major section out of here where the creeper is, and the piece over the top of the desk is now gone. Not much left. Hopefully we should get it finished today. I'll talk to you again later. That is a couple more sections removed. All we've really got now is the workbench and a few pieces of railroad wrapped around it. I think the next thing to do is to clear all the mess off the workbench so that we can see what we've got and we have room to work. Well, that is the disassembly all finished. It's a lot of parts. This is all the peninsula, which will go in the container first for the last delivery. And then there is the upper deck, or the rest of the upper deck. It will be delivery number 2. And this is all the lower deck, and that is delivery number 1. I've still got to sort out all these small parts, and I've got a whole load of boxes in the house to go and collect, number those and put them with whichever stage they need to be. Most of them will be not needed for assembly, so there'll be 300 series. I'm going to go in now, feed Zeus, get some food, take a break, and I will be back out here tomorrow morning, and still got a lot of work to do. The container is supposed to be here Tuesday, so I still have a couple of days to get everything sorted out. But it's Friday morning, and I've just started working on the big pile of small parts that was on my workbench. I also decided to go fetch all the boxes that were in the basement. Rather than lug them up the hill, I figured I'd just load them into the back of my truck. I didn't realize it was going to be a whole truck full. That is mostly freight cars. There's also some signals and some structure kits there. I'm just going to get that into the workshop, get all the boxes numbered, and then I will continue packing up some more parts. Well, that big mountain of small parts has now been sorted out as to which ones I need in what stage. It's all in boxes, or some of the bulkier ones are just carried as separate pieces, like these leg frames over here, and they will just be fitted into gaps within all the big sections of benchwork. I've got to go inside and get some more tape because I ran out. I finished my roll of parcel tape. I've got 3 or 4 boxes over there that still need taping up, and a few over here. And I've still got to get together all the tools that I need to take with me, pack those in a box. I'm going to do that later. I'm going to go inside, get some lunch now, and I've got a whole load of stuff I need to take care of, phone calls to make, emails to write, stuff like that. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video, found it useful or interesting or both. After busting our guts for just over a week to get it dismantled in time for the container to arrive, the container got delayed at the last minute. The day I finally finished packing up boxes was supposed to be the day before it arrived, and they sent me an email that afternoon to say that it was going to get delayed. And they haven't even told me when it's going to be yet. At the time of recording this video, it should have already been packed into the container, but instead it's still stuck in my workshop, and I don't have an arrival date yet. Well, anyway, there's not a lot I can do about that. I will just get on with other projects until the container arrives, and then I'll pack it up as soon as it gets here. I hope to see you back here for that video. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and bye for now.